And he knows you kept his shoes as well, because he shows me the shoes that are by the door, all right, that you won't go and move. And he says, if you bring up those shoes, she'll know it's real. And you just got the chills. There's a couple souls that are stepping forward. But first of all, I keep hearing I'm the father.
So it was my uncle, but he was like a father figure to me.
Okay. And are you all here for him right now?
I'm his wife.
Oh, no wonder why. He's here. Please know, I'm saying, why are you coming through? And he's saying, well, my family's here. My family's here. So please know that he was running back and forth across the screen. And I know that you're still upset about how he had died and the way that he left this world here in the physical world. And first of all, I got to tell you, when I'm connecting with this man, he thinks this is so cool that he can come through and speak like this and connect like this and talk like this, because when I was connecting with him, he says to me, Matt, he goes, you don't understand me. He goes, I was a tough personality here in this world. He says, if you ever would have said psychic medium, I would have said, that shit ain't real. Don't believe that shit. Don't believe that. He goes, what he used to say to you here in this world about everything was, I don't believe it. Don't listen to everything that you hear. Because
he didn't believe that I broke a bone. He didn't believe anything.
He said to me this, he goes, Matt, he goes, I used to tell my wife, he goes, my wife was so gullible here in this world. I used to tell her, don't believe everything. Stop reading shit online. Don't listen to them. Listen to me. Do you understand that?
Yes.
And he said to me that when I'm connecting with him, there's a lot that's here, because this man was sick here in this world before his passing.
No,
He tells me he was. He tells me that when he was here, there was a lot of things that were wrong with him before he had died. But he tells me that he kept a lot on the inside. Do you understand that?
I'm going to kill him when I get up there.
Well, listen, that's up to you, not up to me. He said to me he wouldn't go see a doctor. Do you understand that?
Yep.
And listen, when I talk about sick, I don't mean that your husband had cancer or was dying or things like that. But what I do know is that this man suffered from pains every single day.
Yes.
And I know what happened to him. I know why he didn't feel well at times. You can disagree with me, whatever you want, but I'm going to tell you the truth. He tells me that when he was younger, he worked like an animal here in this world. And when I'm connecting with him, I saw him fall down. I felt like he fell and broke bones in his body.
Yeah.
You know about this?
Yeah. Yeah. He fell and he hurt his hip really bad, and he had hip pain and knee pain for a really long time.
That never left him. I see hip, shoulder, and knee. This is all affected. So that's how I knew he fell. Because when I'm connecting, you know what it feels like? You know when somebody, like when I'm talking to somebody who's really old and they have like arthritis that's really, really bad, that's what he's showing to me. Because I see that there's times when your husband used to wake up and he was like stiff as a board here in this world. He couldn't get up, he couldn't move, like any of those things. And he would never tell you, but you would know because he'd wake up in a bad mood. But he wouldn't see a doctor. And even when he fell, I don't think he saw somebody at the time or didn't follow up, because I see that.
Right. He wouldn't have surgery.
Oh, he didn't have surgery.
He wouldn't. Yeah.
Okay. So that would be why, because when I see that there were parts of his body that still remained broken, right? Meaning that they may have been healed, but they had, I don't know, healed on their own or however the hell it happened. I don't know, because normally people go in for surgery, but your husband was different. Please know that he said to me, Matt, he says, these were the things that I was dealing with. He tells me that he dealt with pain every day. And I'm telling you that because, you know, here in this world, sometimes he was off. He was a different person. Sometimes he used to be good as gold. Sometimes he tells me that he had issues with his moods. But tell my wife that, Matt, I always loved her. He says, and please tell her, he says that even though I would go through mood swings, even though I would be in a bad mood at times, it was just because my body, he says, was all beaten up, he said to me.
I always knew he loved me.
Tells me. He says, but the other thing that he's acknowledging is this. He tells me that before he died, he talks about you not being able to say goodbye to him before his passing. And that's something that you still think about every single day. He tells me that I know that when he passed instantly here in the physical world. He tells me when I'm connecting with him that affected his head, because he keeps telling me my head.
He fell. He fell and hit his head.
Okay, that would be why. So know that that's what he's talking about with this passing, because souls will talk to me in quick bits of information, right? So when I'm connecting with him, he tells me, Matt, he goes, I thought I was invincible here in this world, he tells me. He says, you don't understand. He goes, my body didn't affect what my age really was, or so he thought. Because I see your husband, if there was an issue up on that roof, he was getting up on that roof and looking at it. If there was an issue with the truck, he was under the hood or under the car looking at it. If there was a neighbor who had a problem down the street, he was marching his ass up the street in the middle of a snowstorm to go and look and see what the hell they were doing.
Yes.
Totally.
So
He was
know
a crazy
that
fan.
I said to him, sir, why did you not take care of yourself? And he said to me, Matt, because when I used to fall, he goes, I didn't break anything, I bounced. That's what he told me. He says, I don't fall, I bounce. He goes, don't worry about me, I'm not going anywhere.
Yep.
So the day that your husband died, I gotta be honest with you, this was an accident here in this world. So when he had fallen here in the physical world, right? Was it something that he just fell back, or how did he fall?
He had a heart attack and then
Okay.
fell and hit his head.
Okay, please know that when I'm connecting with him, he tells me one thing. The day that your husband had fell, I believe it was a fall that had killed him here in the physical world.
Oh my God.
Because I I keep feeling this pain right in through here. And he said to me, Matt, even if I were to recover from this, he tells me there was no way that he was going to be able to walk, talk, or speak. So I have to tell you something. Your husband wants to say that he's sorry for the way that he left this world. Oh my God, I'm so dumb. I understand this now, why he's showing me all of this. See, sometimes your loved ones will put things in and show me things to represent their life, right? But I have to put all the pieces together. So what your husband is showing me, because I'm asking him now, I said to your husband, did you know that you were having a heart attack? Did you know this was happening? And your husband said to me, Matt, how the hell am I going to know I had a heart attack? I always had effing pain throughout my body. He goes, how was I going to know what pain was from which? He goes, I had ass aches, neck aches, back aches, all these things. That's how he was. Is that how he used to talk?
Yes.
Because he just yelled at me. I'm like, don't get upset. Like, I'm asking a friggin' question. I'm trying to get to the bottom, sir, of how you died. That's only my job as a medium.
He's really a nice guy, though.
Well, I know. Listen, what I have to tell you is this. He wants you to know this because when I'm connecting with him, your husband was having pains beforehand. Now, were they heart pains? No. But were there pains throughout his body? Yes. And I think that he mistook it. I know he mistook it. I know that your husband was having pains. I know that he was having heart attack symptoms, but didn't realize they were heart attack symptoms. He just thought his body was in pain. So know that it's his way of bringing that through. And your husband had like these weird rules when I'm connecting with him. Like he's telling me like he didn't like medications. He didn't like pills. Like, because I said to him, well, were you taking pills? Did you take anything that day? Was there something that could have caused this? And your husband's going, no pills, no pills. Don't get on pills. You don't come off of them. Like that's what he said to me. Once you're on pills, you don't come off. Like, but that was his way of thinking.
Yeah, for sure.
He says to me this, Matt, there's one thing I have to tell my wife is that I know I was stubborn. He says, and I know that I drove her crazy here in this world. But he said to me this, he says, I thought that I was in control of my own body and my own health. And I never expected to die in this way, he tells me. So he says, Matt, I came in this world with a bang and I left this world with a bang, he tells me. He says, but what I need her to know is that I'm sorry for the way that we had to say goodbye. Because to you, it came unexpectedly. Because here in this world, your husband, even though he was in pain when he was sick, no matter what happened, he would just keep going. This man never stopped. No. So there was no warning signs for you. And that's why you're having such a hard time with this, because he tells me that you keep going back over his passing again and again and again, trying to think, was there something weird that he did that day? Was there something different he did that morning? Was there something that happened 3 weeks ago and you've been driving yourself crazy? Mm-hmm. He said to me, Matt, I was like a dog, he said. When there was things that were wrong with me, he says, you would never know. Mm-hmm. He says, because I just kept going. What he also tells me is this. He says, Matt, he goes, I guess I was wrong on a lot of things. But he says, what I'm glad I was wrong about was the fact that I could communicate with her from heaven. And that's why he's here right now. He knows that you kept his clothes, this clothes that you kept of his here in this world. And he knows you kept his shoes as well, because he shows me the shoes that are by the door, all right, that you won't go and move. And he says, if you bring up those shoes, she'll know it's real. And you just got the chills.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
He said to me, Matt, tell my wife not to die on me, but tell her I had to prove to her this was real. And that's my only way, because nobody knows about that.
No, nobody does.
No.
I know. And I can only know if I was in that house. So what he tells me is that he wants you to know that it's okay to live life again. He tells me that it's okay for you to lift yourself up and to do the things that we used to enjoy. Because you keep saying, how am I going to do this? This was my soulmate. This was my husband. He was my everything. He says, I will always be with her, Matt. Please tell her that.
Thank you.
And please let her know that no matter what happens, I haven't missed out on anything in her life.
Oh my God, thank you.
He knows you kept his car here in the physical world as well. And he says to me, Matt, please tell her to take care of my baby. And he's talking about the car.
Yes.
He says to me, please tell her, only use the premium gas, he's telling me. Very important. He needs you to know that because he knows that you're cheap and that sometimes you're trying to skimp out. He says, make sure that you always do what they say that's in the manual. He says, just like I taught you. He says, and make sure that you only pay the bills when they're due. Is that your husband? He says, because Matt, he says, nothing's changed. Tell her just because I died, nothing's changed. He said, I'm still in that house. I am still with her. He says, and please let her know that I made it to the other side.
Thank you so much. I've waited 8 years for this. Thank you.
Well, I am so happy that he came through for you. And I am so happy that I got to meet you and the family and deliver this message.